Good morning, everybody. Today we're talking about narcissism, of course. What else? Um, Yet I'm not pointing out and just blaming and splitting. We understand that there is no moral high ground, and we understand that everybody has a reason to be the way they are, I also understand that, it's not better to be living in a dream world, in a paradise world, in a dream state, where you think everything is good if I am good and everything will be good if I only do good. This is just enabling dark personalities to abuse you. That being said, what I want to point out today is that narcissists are chained to the external world. They are externally regulated. They have a false self-confidence. Their grandiosity is not based or regulated from within themselves internally, is regulated externally, which means they depend on external validation. And this is also the reason, that is something that Sam Vaknin pointed out, the supply of the narcissist is superior to the narcissist, because the narcissist needs the supply. This means also that the grandiosity and this false confidence is based on basically nothing, but needs the external validation. So I have often said that the only constant thing that you will experience in a narcissistic relationship, or when you're confronted with narcissists, multiple narcissists, in a beautiful triangulation, whatever, the constant experience that you will have is confusion. And one of these confusions comes from, well, let me just wait here for the finishing of the video. The one way of this confusion is, isn't that beautiful here? One way of this confusion is because when you, as a confident person that is internally regulated, which means you don't have to prove anything, you're just regulated, you're just calm, you're just confident in the way you are, and you don't have to prove it to anyone. Then you will perceive the narcissist as hyper-competitive, because hyper-competitiveness means projected, grandiose, false confidence. It means the narcissist perceives a person that is internally regulated confident as a threat, because this person is superior. This person triggers the inferiority complex. This person is superior and thus becomes supply. The narcissist needs especially this person's attention that it cannot have, because the person is internally regulated, is not competing, is rooted in itself. It generates something, and the narcissist wants that. So in other words, hyper-competitiveness is projected false confidence. It also is projected shame, because it leads to evil behavior. It leads to manipulative behavior. It leads to malignant behavior. Yeah, and in the end, to evil, disagreeable, immoral, stupid, behavior. And this behavior is shameful, but because the narcissist represses shame, he cannot feel the shame. He even feels proud, and this form of pride is the same pride that slave drivers have when they are amongst each others. Imagine the slave drivers having stolen the indigenous people from some country, the strongest of the strongest, people who are self-sufficient, who were living a peaceful life. They stole them, having them in their ship. And now the slave drivers sitting at the table, they will have to regulate their inner shame by making jokes about it, by feeling sadistic joy of what they have done, by dehumanizing the weak people, the stupid, weak people they have captured. This is a projected form of grandiosity, of evilness, of shame. So they don't want to feel the shame. This is why they have the need to be noisy, outgoing, externally validating, okay? So this is why it's all interconnected. In other words, hyper-competitiveness is projected shame in the end. And it means why the narcissist is chained to the external validation, to the world. He's not internally regulated, all right? Yeah, so I just wanted to point this out, and why people with a normal, with a healthy form of confidence that does not have to prove or be validated at all times are feeling confused when they are faced with a narcissist, because the person, when it is a naive person, will assume, first of all, it will assume that the narcissist does not want to compete because he can't compete, because they have a real reality checking. They see, let me make a small, I don't find a word at the moment. Anyway, in one case, it could be that the narcissist comes from asylum straight, lost control over his life, destroyed his family, was suicidal, depressive. But then the narcissist comes to this person and emerges with a grandiose self-image for some reason and confabulates, imagines a shared fantasy. Remember, the narcissist's personality, character, it's not an identity core, it's not a moral core, it's not grown, it's created, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy defense, actually. And it creates this grandiosity and assumes that they are superior to you. They assume from scratch they are superior to you, even though you know it makes absolutely no sense in that situation. And you even are not in that state. I have to point out another thing here. An empathetic, empath, chosen one, in lack of other words, a healthy person, we don't have the diagnosis healthy person yet, rather is in wave state when we're looking at quantum states. They are grown over time, and they are internally regulated, they do introspection, they are ego-syntonic, and they are seamlessly go from state to state, while the narcissist rather is in particle state, because he is chained to the exterior. He is constantly measuring, comparing, lurking for trying to create reactions. So they are constantly sending signals, whether positive or negative ones, to get a signal and constantly checking whether they get the reaction. And if they don't get the reaction, they readjust until they get the reaction. And when they don't get a positive reaction, they are good with a negative one also. This means they are in this interruptive, penetrative, all-pervasive, malignant, growing into any healthy structure state. While another person might completely not be in a competitive state. We assume we don't have to compete. We assume we don't have to prove. We assume there are unwritten laws and boundaries. That is not true. You have to learn this is not true. You have to speak the obvious in the face of a narcissist. You have to reinforce and enforce boundaries, and if not, if you don't have another possibility, walk away. You have to walk away. And the problem is, when we engage in discussion, when we try to make a point, when we, yeah. But the epicenter of this is always the confusion, because there's someone being competitive or saying something absolutely absurd and double down on it, and this makes us second guess ourselves. So I just want to point out this phenomenon to you so that in the future you are prepared for that. But I again see here the big barrier between you and the delusional person. You living in reality, the person lives in a delusion where they are always superior. You coming from the place where you always meet people on an equal basis and they always look down on you. And when you have this trait that I have, if somebody looks down on you, I look down on them, this triggers the narcissist the more, and you get in a brutal competition where the narcissist tries via projective identification and mirroring to completely confuse you and dismantle you. Anyway, this is just a preparation for you, so you understand these mind games. And I see this big unbridgeable problem of communication, because in the first place, narcissists use communication, language, the tone of the voice, the subtext, atmospheric violence, everything against you. So communication in the world of the narcissist leads to the achievement of their goal or nowhere. And it's not two ways. Healthy conversation means that you take the point of the person you are discussing with and you take their argument, and then you add your point of view, and then you find a conclusion or a compromise or a synthesis of this. But if you do this with a narcissist, you always lose. It's not possible, because the narcissist is not able to do this. They are just able to push through their agenda, and you will also find yourself in very tiring discussions, because if you have the feeling you brutally tried to make a stone feel something, you tried to find a agreeable resolution for something, but after the discussion it is as if you have never talked, and they just flex back to self-absorbed, stupid, unempathetic, goal-driven, same behavior, as if you have never ever talked. So this is the reason why you can't and should not communicate with narcissists, because it is not communication. And this is probably also the reason why Sam Wagner says, in some way, he thinks that narcissists don't qualify as human beings, because you can't communicate. It's not communication. Okay? And it's not reality, the place where you meet them. You can only meet them in their shared fantasy or nowhere. They deny everything outside the shared fantasy narrative. So that being said, I gotta go on now, live my day, and stay safe. Yeah, that's that.